I may put it in the bloopers.
You got bloopers?
I can include bloopers.
Oh, okay, all right. So are we on right now?
I'm recording.
Oh, okay, so this is part of it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing book to film adaptations part 1 featuring my dad.
Hello, bookworms. All right. It's my first time, so we'll see how it works out.
Okay. All right, so my special guest, my dad today, this is his top 5 favorite book to film adaptations.
Well, it's 5. It's not top 5, but it's 5. There may be more videos, so we could do that.
Well, yeah.
But these are good. These are top.
Yeah, I mean, he had a hard time narrowing it down to 5. So, but these are favorites.
Oh yeah, they're favorites.
They're favorites.
Yeah.
Then we do have 1 honorable mention, so technically 6. First up will be The Count of Monte Cristo. The novel was written by Alexander Dumas. I have the book, so let me just hold that up. Right here. Look at this. This is the original unabridged version.
1,200 pages. The abridged is 800 pages.
Yeah, we'll get into why I have this in a minute.
Chunker.
And let me know down below in the comments if you have read the unabridged version. Because when I read this when I think I was a teenager.
Something like
or
that.
Even younger. I think I was younger. I read the abridged version. I did not read the unabridged version. But there is a reason I have this on my shelf, and I'll get into that in a minute. Dad, you want to start the premise? What is The Count of Monte Cristo about?
The Count of Monte Cristo is, the setting is the 1800s, Napoleon, so it's about 1805. And Edmond Dantes is first mate on a ship. Mm-hmm. It's a mercantile vessel. And the captain dies. And so now the political intrigue starts. Edmond Dantes takes over the ship. They go to an isle where Napoleon is being held prisoner. And Dantes is caught up in political intrigue. He's young. He knows nothing about it. When they get back to France, it all breaks loose at that point.
And we're talking about betrayal. Best friend betrayal is his best friend, Fernand, who betrays him. Edmond gets sent to the Chateau d'If, which is a prison, specifically a prison for innocent people. And I will leave it at that so we don't have any spoilers. No spoilers.
Absolutely harsh situation.
Oh, this is the reason this is one of my top favorites, is because, well, my top favorite stories in general, is it's about sweet revenge. This is one, and I'm going to do a video, a side note, I'm going to do a video completely about my top favorite best sweet revenge stories. This is going to make that list. I love a good sweet revenge story, and this one hits the spot. I love it. It's so amazing. Revenge is...
This is, when you talk about, when you got a book that you can't, it's a page turner. I've read a lot of books, a lot of classics. This is number 1 for me as fella turning it over. The way he gets, not too many spoilers, who he meets in the prison, gets out of the prison, and how he devises this revenge. It's cream of the crop. It's off the chain.
The whole plot around the revenge is what I live for in this story. That's my favorite part of the movie, actually, is seeing the revenge.
You want to talk about the movie or
the plot take place? Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So the movie, there are several versions. The one that I love is the 2002 version featuring Jim Caviezel. I'll insert the graphic here. I actually have the DVD. I didn't bring that in, so I'll put the graphic here. The only other version that I've had glimpses of is the version from the 30s. And the only reason I have seen little glimpses of that is because one of my favorite movies, again, I'm going to do another video of my top favorite movies of all time, and V for Vendetta. V for Vendetta. V is one of my favorite characters of all time. Again, another video that's coming. But his character in V for Vendetta, his character is inspired by Edmond Dantes. He is like a reimagined Edmond Dantes. Do you want to watch that movie together?
Yeah, we can watch it.
Okay, we have that.
Okay.
In that movie, he's doing like, he's practicing a sword fight, like he's reenacting a sword fight to the 30s version, so you see it in the background. And we originally thought that that was the one you were talking about. So the actual version that I love, the only version I've seen, is the 2002 version. It's fantastic, and it's completely different than the book. Right? They're like two. Was it the ending or like the whole story?
No, I mean the story is basically the same thing, but the ending is different because it's a Hollywood ending. It's a good movie.
Yeah, but I still loved it.
This is a really good movie. What's in Jim Caviezel.
Yeah.
Good movie. It's a good movie. Another option where you can watch them both. That's about a 2-hour movie from like 2000.
Most of them are.
Right.
Most of them are, dude.
But was it 1964? You can punch in Alan Badel. Right?
This is your version.
This is the version I saw.
You're recommending.
So if you want a more detailed movie, a more full immersion, 1964, type in Alan Badel, Badel, black and white. It was probably done in England, like the BBC did it. And it gives more details from the book in that version.
Oh.
Yeah. So you can watch, I've watched them both. They are both really good.
Is this a movie or is this, it says 5-hour immersion. Was this the mini-series or is this a movie?
That is, no, it's like a mini-series. It's episodic.
Mini-series. It's episodic.
It's 3 to 5 hours.
Yeah.
So there may be like 12 videos, and each video is about 25 minutes, so that's 3 hours.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
But it's good. It's all good. I mean, the Count of Monte Cristo is just... Yeah.
We love it.
It's
It's
good.
It's our favorite. I think we don't agree on much, like our tastes.
Right.
I'm going to say our tastes don't align. He's classic guy. I don't like classic. But I will say I think I'm going to say this is the only classic I love in terms of reading and watching. Like I love, like for example, I'm going to give an example. The Phantom of the Opera. I love the concept behind the Phantom of the Opera. I love the actual storyline of the Phantom of the Opera. I don't like the execution. I didn't like the movie execution. And I listened to that book and it was like eating glass. Because it's typical classic writing, which I don't like. But in that case, I love the actual story, but I didn't like the execution of either the film or the book. But in this case, I'm going to say this is the only, Count of Monte Cristo is the only classic that I actually love.
I would say this as well. A lot of times I don't even know a book exists until I see a movie. I might be in a library, see a DVD, watch it, either fall in love with it or really like it, and then I go for the book. Normally I don't like abridged, but in this case, there's about 400 extra pages, so it's either 1,200 pages or do the 800. I would recommend the 800 because it's abridged, but it's a chunker. So if you've never even seen this story, you may want to start with one of the movies and then see if it's to your taste.
Watch
the movie.
Watch the version with Jim Caviezel.
Yeah, 2 hours. And
watch,
go from
it's
there.
fantastic. All right, so why, pray tell, do I have this unabridged version on the shelf? What's the story behind that?
Well, I think you said you wanted the book, or we were talking about it.
Yeah.
And then
I did.
Then she said, she mentioned that under no circumstances ever in her life would she ever consider an abridged version of anything. So then when I went to the bookstore, I got her this, and then when I brought it, she was like, Dad, what are you doing? I'm not going to read that. So now it's there on the bookshelf.
So I did say that. But when I had said that, what had happened was, in my mind, I thought I had read the unabridged version when I was a kid.
I don't know if you did or not.
I didn't realize that I read the abridged version.
Okay.
And on top of that, I was not experienced enough in the classics when I said that, because I had read or I had listened to on audiobook a few more classics after that. Rebecca and Phantom of the Opera are two that are coming to my mind.
We're not her cup of tea.
That is a whole rant video, the Rebecca situation. I can go into a whole rant video on that story. So I had said that prior experience with classics. So yeah. I believe I said it's like blasphemy to have.
Right, that's what you did say.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I take it back.
All right.
I take it back.
I would say that's the count. What do we got next?
Up next, number 2, Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry.
McMurtry. Larry McMurtry. So you have to read the dates on that because I'm not sure. This is what I brought up.
1985. So the novel I have written, the 1985.
Right.
It was written.
This would be a modern day classic. It's going to go down as a classic. And for many people it already is. This is arguably not just what I would say, but I've heard people say, booktubers, Lonesome Dove is arguably the greatest Western ever written, the greatest historical fiction ever written, and the greatest novel ever written, all rolled into one. So even if you don't agree with that, it's cream of the crop. If you were going to tier it, it's S tier.
The best of all time.
Just like Count of Monte Cristo is S tier. It's S tier.
It's choice.
It's off the chain. It is choice. It's great. So it's not a typical Western. It is about 2 Texas Rangers, Woodrow Call and Gus McCrae, and they are traveling with some of their compadres on a cattle drive.
Compadres. From
Texas into the Midwest, and it's about their adventure. This is not so much a plot-driven story, it's characterization.
Oh.
And Gus and Woodrow, these 2 Texas Rangers, have what might be, here again, the greatest friendship in all literature. People have said this. If you've not seen it or read it, I highly recommend it. There's a movie, a miniseries. When did it happen? What's the year on that?
1989.
1989. So you got Tommy Lee Jones, Robert Duvall, Reese Witherspoon when she was young, Robert Ulrich, Ricky Schrader. It is good. So the miniseries.
I think it's Schroeder.
The miniseries I would put at, it's A grade. It is probably 4.5, 6 hours. It's an immersion. Diane Lane's in it as well. It's choice. The book is great. It's superior. So it's a chunker though. It's like maybe 700 or 800 pages.
Oh, it's less than 1,000.
Yeah. So
for me, that's a lot. 700. That's a lot. That's a lot.
So you may want to start, which is the way I did. I didn't know it existed, never heard of Larry McMurtry. Or this great story. Was in the library, saw the DVD, looked interesting, watched it. I was like, this is really good. Then I read the book, and it's great. It's great.
It's on our watch list. It's on our watch
so
list.
Yeah, we gotta watch.
We're gonna watch this together. We have to watch it.
Right. So you may want to start with the miniseries and go from there.
Let's just watch it.
Okay.
I haven't been in the world of Westerns.
Well, this is the beauty. That's one of the reason I recommended this. It's not a typical Western. This is just about a cattle drive. It takes place in the West, but it's not what you would normally think of, and that's what makes this. Should I do it? Chef's kiss. It really is great. So even if you're not into Westerns, this ain't that, and I would recommend it. Yeah.
This ain't that?
This ain't that.
Okay.
It is what it is.
That's right.
Yeah.
Up next, Hound of the Baskervilles, written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. We know him, we love him, Sherlock Holmes. The novel that you were talking about, this is 1902, written in 1902.
Right. So what I try to do with these 5 books was try to have different genres. So because I don't know what you like, I don't know who your people. I don't know who your people. Well, I don't know what you all read. We might do a video classics with that. So I'm of an older generation, so we'll see how it works. But everybody loves or have heard of Sherlock Holmes.
We love Sherlock Holmes. We love Sherlock Holmes. Don't we, people? We love Sherlock Holmes.
221B Baker Street.
I love Sherlock Holmes.
So
even though it's classic, I love Sherlock Holmes,
yes.
And I love Edgar Allan Poe because I grew up. You had me reading that when I was little, and I loved. but not the
and
original.
they're not long. These
Yeah.
are short stories.
Yeah, the short stories.
Or novellas, that kind of thing. Hound of the Baskervilles, I chose it because it is a novel. It's not, you can get volumes of just the short stories, and there's like 50 plus. But it came out when, 1902?
1902, no.
So,
Yeah.
Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, he's most famous for Sherlock Holmes. And when he wrote a lot of these short stories, they came out in the Strand, STR, A&D magazine in England. And it was like a serial. So he would write, and that's not with a C. Folks, okay? It was a serial, so maybe once a week, once every month, it would be a new story. And but the only way you could get it, because it wasn't in book form, is you would have to go and buy the Strand magazine. And one of the things they had inside that magazine was Sherlock Holmes. Mm-hmm. But Hound of the Baskervilles, it's about Baskerville Hall. Imagine like in Scotland or in England, a moor with all the mists coming around. And the one who is in the steward, not the steward, he's, I don't know if you would call him the Earl of Baskerville Hall, he dies. And it's a mysterious kind of death. This is a mystery. And in the distance, in the night, there is a loud barking like a hound. Mm-hmm. Rumor has it there were these huge giant paw prints around where they found the body. Yeah. And so the heir to Baskerville Hall and the whole estate, he comes in, he's a young man. He knows about the rumors, and so he hires Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. They come in, and the whole thing takes off from there. This is one of the great mysteries. It's novel form. And it's Sherlock Holmes. So this is also not a thick novel. It's not a novella, but so you could start with the book. The film, Jeremy Britt, in like the 1980s and the early 1990s.
1988.
Right. The movie came out in 88. But all these Sherlock Holmes short stories were on Granada television. They were done in England. Mm-hmm. Jeremy Britt, he is the quintessential, in my opinion, Sherlock Holmes. He's great. And he did all these like 40 to 50 short stories, and he did Hound of the Baskervilles. So you could start either way you want to. The movie may be 2 hours, and you could probably do the book, depending on how fast you read, maybe 3 to 5 hours, something like that.
Yeah. I also am thinking as well, I loved the BBC Sherlock Holmes TV show that came out years ago.
Who's the guy who did that?
Benedict Cumberbatch.
And he, by the way, he was the voice of the dragon in the Hobbit movies.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, now the thing with I learned, I think it was this show where I learned the British, their TV shows are long. So it literally, watching an episode of this, an hour and a half long episode.
Yeah, 90 minutes, maybe up to 2 hours, right.
Yeah, it's not a typical how Americans.
But he updated Sherlock Holmes, so it's 21st century technology.
Yes.
They did it well.
No, that's what I mean. Yeah. Usually, I was like, am I going to like that, considering, but I loved it. I am going to say it became, him and Moriarty, the more the episodes went on, him and Moriarty, it became like overdone a little bit, and it was really like two villains really having a bromance. Really. It became a little overdone. I'm like, come on, really? Moriarty, like,
by the way,
he loves to, Moriarty needs Holmes in a way, like he needs him.
Professor Moriarty is the arch villain.
He's the nemesis.
We may do a movie on the greatest villains. And Moriarty's going to be on my list, and then we'll go into
Moriarty would be, yeah. But I am going to say that the BBC TV show for Sherlock Holmes was great. And the guy, I forgot that guy's name. The guy from The Hobbit who played, he is Watson.
He's Watson in the modern day. I can't think of his name. Right?
I can't think of his name. I'll put his picture here. Right. Y'all know him if you see his face. But yeah, he plays in that too. So yeah, I didn't realize that Cumberbatch was the voice of the dragon, and then
and a quick tidbit: if you watch Jeremy Brett, not just in Hound of the Baskervilles, you can watch. They are like 50-minute episodes on the, I call them BBC, it's England back from the 80s and 90s. You can punch it up and find it. Mm-hmm. In 221B Baker Street, in this apartment in which him and Watson lived, on the mantelpiece is a picture of the Ryerback Falls. And that's where him and Moriarty supposedly went off the side as they were jiu-jitsu wrestling. This was the ultimate showdown, and they were gone. And just a quick tidbit, back in the early 1900s, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle got tired of writing this character.
Yeah.
He killed him off. And the people went crazy because he was tired of doing Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
And they wrote into the Strand magazine, he got all this mail, how dare you kill off Sherlock Holmes? He had to bring him back. I don't know how he did it.
Yeah.
But they actually did that in one of the episodes.
Yes.
And they say how he brought him back. So if you watch the BBC Sherlock Holmes, Jeremy Brett, 1980s, but over the mantelpiece you'll see...
Wait, did you watch that entire series?
I've seen them all. This will be a 40-minute video. We can't do that. We got to get down to business here.
I edit everything.
All right. Okay.
Okay, now I
so
have to say...
end?
No, just let me handle it.
Okay.
I didn't realize you watched all of the BBC episodes for Sherlock.
I watched them all.
Really?
It's addictive. It's great. Jeremy Brett is great.
Wow. Okay. I loved it.
If you like atmosphere, complete atmosphere, you're in that world.
Not Jeremy Brett. I'm talking about the BBC. You're talking about
you're talking about the... Yeah, I'm talking... See, generational gap.
It's not generational gap. We're talking about the series.
Right. You're talking about the modern series.
So this is
with
not
Cumber,
a movie.
What's his name? Cumber what?
This night, Cumberbatch.
Cumberbatch. I'm not making fun of anybody's name. It's just we...
He could have he said, what's his name? I kept saying, like, Dad, it's Cumberbatch. And he's like, that's not his name. I said, it's Cumberbatch. He's like, no, it ain't.
So you're talking about Cumberbatch, and I'm talking about Jeremy Brett.
Yes, but you told me it was a movie in 1988.
Yeah, Hound of the Baskervilles.
Was it a movie or was it a show? Miniseries?
It's Jeremy Brett in one of these... It was a movie. Normally, Jeremy Brett did all the Sherlock Holmes. It was 50 minutes. Because Sherlock Holmes was Hound of the Baskervilles is a novel instead of a short story, they extended it to, I think it's 2 hours. So you have a 2-hour, it's a full movie with Jeremy Brett. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, Sherlock Holmes.
I recommend the BBC series for my 2 cents, okay? For the episodes, they do the short stories for each episode. I think the first episode off my memory, I think was The Lady in Pink. And I think the second, maybe not the second one, but one of the episodes is the story of the Hound of the Baskervilles. And they title it in the beginning so you know which story you're getting per episode. It's great. Number 4, The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. This novel was written in 1860.
So Wilkie Collins, by the way, Wilkie, I thought for a long time that's a man, not a girl's name. So the way I come across a lot of classics, I'm in a library, they used to have a classics section. I just started with the A's, Jane Austen, worked my way down. That's how I found out about a lot of these books and the movies. Wilkie Collins was a contemporary of Charles Dickens. So he wrote 2 classic great novels, Woman in White and The Moonstone. So this is 1860, you said, right?
Yeah.
About a drawing master who is headed towards this upper middle class. He got an assignment. He's been hired for like 3 or 4 months to train a daughter and a niece in art, in drawing, at an upper middle class mansion. He's on his way. He looks over, this is fog, it's mist, it's surreal. And coming out of the mist in the night is a woman dressed all in white. Charles Dickens and Wilkie Collins got a lot of their stories from the newspapers. They read it and they turned it into a movie. This is all about identity, maybe identity theft, love and romance as far as this drawing master, one of these women. What happens to one of the women? Who is this woman in white? It is ultimate mystery. And it will take you places. If you've never heard about it, I don't even want to spoil anything. But it's good if you just walk into it. I'll put it this way. They asked Wilkie Collins one time, what do you want to be remembered for? And on his tombstone, the epitaph read, author of The Woman in White. His life was bound up with this. It's about this woman.
This story was a reflection. Is that what you're saying?
It's about this woman in white.
Clearly dead.
But what happens to her...
Is this romance?
Identity... No, it is not romance heavy. It's there, but it's what drives it. And let me tell you this. We're going to do a villains
We
thing.
are. Yes, we're going to do a villains
We're going to do a
video.
villain. You talk about one of the greatest villains of all time.
He never stops talking about this. The minute you mention it, it's like...
Count Fosco.
Fosco. Yes, Dad.
This cat.
Separate video.
So the way... I'll give you the end scene. I'm not going to spoil it for you. The drawing master goes to confront Fosco about this woman, not the woman in white, but the woman that he loves, which is bound up with the woman in white. Okay? Identity switching, theft, you'll see what I mean. Count Fosco is such an ultimate villain because of his subtlety and his danger. When this drawing master walks into that room, Fosco locks the door, puts his back against the door, and they begin one of the most intense negotiations of all time. What's going to happen between Fosco and this guy? The woman in white. Now let me say this. Let me say this. This is a chunker.
They all are.
It's not 800 pages. It's not 1,000. I think it's about 500 pages. Now, for some of you, that's not a chunker. For some, it would be. You may want to start out with the movie, The Woman in White. Now, again, there's a Hollywood version. It's well done. I think it's from the 1990s.
1997.
1997. It's well done, 2 hours. I first saw that. And then I found out, I punched in Alan Badel. There's that man again.
Yeah, he's in this too, in the miniseries.
Badel, one of the great English actors.
1982.
Right, Badel. You punch it in. If you want total full immersion, and who wouldn't with this? 5 hours. It's like 5 hours of The Woman in White.
Number 5 is Bleak House by Charles Dickens. I wrote down 1852 to 1853, 20 episodic series.
Oh, that's why.
This is the mini-series.
No, so Dickens, remember he was a colleague of Collins. Dickens had a magazine. And of course, we've all heard of Charles Dickens, even if we never read any Dickens, maybe A Christmas Carol, something like that, or seen it. He had his own magazine, very popular. The way he would do it, it was serial. They would come out with chapter 1. You'd have to wait maybe the next week or the next month to get chapter 2. So over like 18 months, this big chunker of a book, and it's like a 1,000-page chunker, comes out. So people, if you ever want to do a deep dive, there's different ways to do a deep dive on a read. One of the ways is, if you ever wanted to read Dickens, not maybe your initial foray, but if you do it a reread, you could read it like they did it. You read it once, you read a chapter, and then next week you read another chapter. Take a year and a half. You think for you fantasy lovers out there, you series lovers, you come out, you start a series, and they just wrote the first one, you got to wait a year for the next book to come out. Bleak House is about this, by the way, Dickens. We're going to get into the characters. Charles Dickens, no one, hear me now, no one writes characters like Charles Dickens. They are all over the top exaggerations.
Listen to these names.
Oh.
I wrote down some of the character names from Bleak House.
Okay, go ahead. Read some of those names.
I'm going to listen to these names. PP Jellybee. Oh, PP Jellybee.
PP is the baby of the Jellyby family.
Turvy Drop.
Turvy Drop.
Conversation Kenge. Mr. Snagsby. Miss Flight. Harold Skimpole. Just to name a few.
Oh, yeah.
It was hilarious when we first looked up the names of these characters.
And a guy named Crook.
And a guy named Crook with the K.
Not Crook.
Double O.
Yeah, right, exactly. Dickens would get, a lot of his story ideas would come out of the paper. So he was very interested in, and I'll ask you this, do you think a person can instantaneously combust, explode from the inside out? Well, Dickens has a character that does just that.
Like melts into the floor.
They just walk in and it's...
What happened?
Well, I can't tell you. I don't want to give it away. And the liquid is there. Was it crook? Was it not crook? Right? It's like comedy. This whole thing is you can't help but laugh in Dickens because he's doing a satire on society and the way things are. But this surrounds a law court, Jarndyce and Jarndyce, and about these two heirs. They're like 18. They fall in love. This is generational greed. No one can get to the bottom of this law case, and all the lawyers are milking money away from the people who are bound up in the case. The law case is like a character to itself. Bleak House. Again, it's a chunker. Highly recommend it for me.
Yeah.
It's the best Dickens novel there is. But there's a miniseries.
Yeah, the miniseries featuring Gillian Anderson, 2005. Now, this is the one I want to watch. I got to find it. The library doesn't have it. So I got to find it. See if Amazon has it, but I got to find it. It's on our watch list.
The book is superior. All these things I told you get for me are S. They're superior.
Gillian Anderson, by the way, is the redhead from X-Files.
X-Files. She's done a lot of things.
Yeah.
This, not only is the book S tier, the movie is S tier. This is great.
The
miniseries, but it's like, I think it's maybe 3 to 4 hours. So could be one sitting, could be two. It's great.
Okay, that's what I'm gonna watch if I can find it.
This was done in England. I think I say BBC. It's not necessarily BBC, but it's England based.
Yeah.
The way they do acting and the way they this was a great production. It's great, and I would recommend that you start there.
Lastly is honorable mention. Dun, 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 dun. True Grit.
True Grit.
True Grit.
It's a Western, but again, it's not a typical Western. It has arguably been said that it is right up there with Lonesome Dove as one of the greatest historical novels of all time, one of the greatest Westerns of all time. I read the book and I listened to the audio by Donna Tartt. Some of you may know her as the author of The Secret History.
Again.
That's a separate video.
Rant.
A different rant. I heard it from it. True Grit. So this is about a teenage girl, lives on a farm. Her father gets killed. She lives there with her aunt and her younger brother. Her and a servant. She wants to see justice. No one's trying to track down her father's killer.
Mm.
She's got gumption, and she goes with the servant.
Is this revenge story?
Yeah, she wants justice.
Justice, yeah.
And finally, she comes to this town where there's U.S. Marshals and judges and where there's a jail. And she goes, basically, I'm looking for someone to get my father's killer, and I want someone with true grit. And they were like, well, we got this guy, we got that guy. Then we got a one-eyed fat man over there who's a U.S. Marshal named Rooster Cogburn. By the way, John Wayne originally did this. Not in 1969, late 60s, maybe early 70s.
Yeah.
Really good movie. Glenn Campbell's in that movie, and Jeff Bridges did a movie on this maybe 10 or 15 years ago.
Oh.
I did not watch it. And then the book. The book is really good. John Wayne's movie. It's really good. And the reason it's not typical Western because it's about this teenage girl and the U.S. Marshal and another guy going to hunt down this guy and all the adventures they get into. Now you have to make a decision. Do I go with Donna Tartt's audio version? I don't know if there's another one. And she said, actually, I didn't know who she was. I had read the book earlier, listened to this, and then at the end she had a little bio about herself that when she was young she read this and it was that important in her life. And I think she said that was a catalyst for getting her into writing. So, True Grit, highly recommended. Yeah.
All right.
We may do some more of these videos, by the way.
Yeah, we have a couple more planned.
Yeah.
Featuring Dad. All right, y'all. That is my dad's top 5 with an honorable mention of favorites recommended book to film adaptations. Part 1 featuring my dad. I may do a part 2 featuring my top choices for book to film adaptations, so stay tuned for that. If you like this video, give me that thumbs up and don't forget to smash that subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on any of my upcoming bookish content. And comment down below and let me know your thoughts on any of my dad's top picks. I would love to know. All right, y'all. Until next time, happy reading. Cheers. Let's do it together, ready? Yeah, we're gonna do a picture. So at the end, we have to, I pick a picture. We can do like several, you can do several poses.
Oh, this is a thumbnail?
Thumbnail. There we go. Okay, now you gotta hold it. Hold it so it's a picture.
When are you going to click it?
You don't click it. So hold on.
All right, ready?
You hold that. I'm gonna do something different.
My eyes are burning. I like this one. I don't have my glasses on, I guess.
Or I'll do.
Let's do that one. Do that one. Hold it up. This is like Olin Mills.